Coming up on this episode of Training Camp Weekly, the fans are back at TCOPC and the pads are on. Vikings analyst Ron Johnson joins the show and breaks down a key position battle. Plus, Brian Flores is at the podium talking about his defense. But first, let's hear from Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell and his bird's eye view of the first week of camp.
Very physical practice on the offensive and defensive lines. Really liked what I saw at different times from both sides. Felt the pass rush, especially on some of those known passing downs, 2-minute, things like that. So much learning still going on, teaching, but we're at the point now where the expectation is we are making a mistake not to be made again, or at least learned from to be able to be applied to whatever it is that we're really focusing on as we grow our installs and expand over these next few practices.
And we are back in playing shape ourselves. Tatum, Everett, Ron Johnson here on the set of TCO Studios for Training Camp Weekly. And Ron, thanks for being here first and foremost. I know that you've been out at practice. As a former player yourself, these guys have been through minicamp. They've been through OTAs. Where are they at mentally and physically throughout the first week of training camp?
Well, I will say shout out to Duke Shelley because he said the same thing. He's like, man, you like you still can play. So I was like, I appreciate that. But no, I'd say everybody's different. I was just joking with somebody about this. The married guys are in great shape because they're going home every night on time. They're getting to their room on time. The younger guys probably a little bit are mentally tired because they do extra stuff. They want to play video games. They want to stay up a little later and text message. And so you have to learn how to conserve your energy to be ready for this. So I think most of the starters who know they have a job here, they're fine. They go through these training camps like, hey, I just want to get through another one. This is year 10, this is year 6, 7, 8, whatever. The bubble guys are the ones that are a little bit more mentally drained of like, every day it matters. Every day I have to make a play. Every day I have to make sure coach knows I'm here. And I've always told the young guys this, the special teams coach is your best friend. So I think that's where a lot of guys are, trying to figure out where do I fit in this pecking order. And one thing I used to learn is stop looking at the depth chart, because that will screw with your brain a lot. Because some guys that are 3s right now, they're going to play one preseason game, and the next week they'll be a 2 because they're like, look, this guy is actually better than the guy we had.
Well, it's funny you say that because Kevin O'Connell, a couple of press conferences ago, talked about there being no preconceived depth chart. So we're going to dive into how the position battles are going so far. And on offense, you look at the quarterback position, it'll be the first time someone new is starting under center for the Vikings on opening week since 2018. He's going to be throwing to a different tight end than he's used to, whoever that is, right? TJ Hawkinson, we don't know his timeline, when he's going to come back. How do you perceive that, or who do you perceive stepping up in his absence?
I'd say Josh Oliver right now looks pretty good. I know he's not a true passing, tight end, as people would say, quote unquote. He's more of a blocker, more of a backside guy. But you see him out there making plays. With the Ravens, he was a really good play action tight end with Lamar Jackson. And so I think that's going to fit with what Kevin O'Connell wants to do. But also Robert Tonyan, he's been that for the Packers. He's made big plays. I'm a Detroit guy. I'm not a Detroit fan, but I'm a Detroit guy. He's broken the Lions' hearts in the past with big catches in late games. And so, yes, he's older. He's a little bit longer in the tooth, but I think he's a guy that can step in. We, of course, know Johnny Munt. And my dark horse, and we'll see how they use him, is N'Keal Harry. When you have TJ Hawkinson now who's a true passing tight end, I don't know if you want to put a blocking tight end in that place, so you're going to be looking for maybe wide receiver 3 or 4 to fill in for TJ Hawkinson's passing numbers, or if N'Keal Harry can really show I can take this offense in and I can digest it quick and I can put it on the field and show it on film. He has a chance, but of course, all the preseason games for him are going to matter the most.
Yeah, currently there are 8 tight ends on this roster. It is a lot. And N'Keal Harry is one of those guys who's making the transition from receiver to tight end. So definitely an interesting storyline to watch. Now let's switch things up and go to the defensive side of things. Brian Flores now at the helm for the second straight season. He was at the podium recently talking about how important this time of year is for his team.
Everyone's saying the same thing in the first day of pads. We want to be the most physical team on the field. You're saying that offensively, you're saying that defensively, you're saying that in the kicking game. We're saying the same things, but I'm telling our guys, and the message is we want to fuse that with high IQ football as well. We ask a lot of the group, so can we, check the defense and still play physical? Can we slide the front and still play physical? Can we make a call to a bunch or a stack or empty and still play physical? And there's layers to it. You know, everybody wants to be physical, but when guys are jetting in motion and you're thinking on the fly, you know, it's hard to, you know, have a great get off and, you know, hit somebody in the mouth, you know. So that's what this time of the year about. It's about kind of putting all those things together. And inevitably, we're going to get some good communication and bad physicality, and good physicality and bad communication, and we're just on a daily effort to put it all together.
Now, Ron, there are a lot of new faces on that side of the ball. How do you feel like it's going to transition with Brian Flores?
This is the thing about Brian Flores. Like, we randomly ran into each other. Our kids were running at a track meet together. They're in the same track association, I guess you want to call it. And so he and I chatted a little bit this summer about that. We talked about other stuff as well. But it's kind of cool to see his mindset of his guys. And so, you know, now a lot of these are his guys. When you come in, you inherit, you know, an Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, a Daniil Hunter. And you have to, you know, I call it square peg, round hole. You have to take those pieces and say, how can I make this work? It's like cooking food without the right ingredients.
Sure. Well,
now he's been to the store. He's gone and picked up the groceries. I think Hy-Vee is the partner. So whatever he's done, he now has the pieces. When you look at Van Ginkel, Blake Cashman, Ivan Pace, Dallas Turner, and Grenard, that fits a true 3-4 system. And now he's going to drop, like Jamal Adams, like Cam Chancellor, he's going to drop Josh Metellus into the box a little bit more. And so now it has more, and the vibe is different. Like, you see the guys yelling across the field at each other and joking around. You see the younger guys all, having little jokes with each other. When guys have been around for a long time, the newer guys usually feel like, oh, I got to fit in with these guys. These guys now are all creating what the vibe is for this team. The music is different. It's just, you can tell it's a new youthful movement around this defense. And I think for Brian Flores, that's what he wants. He wants guys to fly around with their hair on fire and not question, should I be in the A gap? Should I be in the B gap? Know exactly your assignment. And Josh Metellus and Harrison Smith are going to get everybody lined up. And I think that's the key. When you have Cam Bynum, Josh Metellus, and Harrison Smith, you have 3 veteran safeties on that back end to make sure everything looks good. And then you go play.
As he said in that press conference, high IQ football while being as physical as possible. And he's going to expect that from his defensive backs. But they have a tough job at camp right now guarding the receivers on this team. Now, Ron, we're going to go into this as a position battle because it's already been said. Receiver number 1, Justin Jefferson. Receiver number 2, Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
However, there is a long list of names behind them that are vying for that wide receiver 3 spot. You have guys like Brandon Powell, Jalen Naylor, Trent Sherfield Sr., Tristan Jackson, Lucky Jackson, Thayer Thomas, Jashawn Jones, Malik Knowles, and Ty James. 11 names on that roster, the wide receiver 3 spot available. How do you see that competition playing out?
I think Jalen Naylor right now kind of seems like the front runner. I think Brandon Powell's right in there depending on the situation and what they need. I think Jalen Naylor is a take the top off type of guy. He's a deep threat. He's a deep ball guy. I mean, we saw him and J.J. McCarthy hook up a couple of times. Brandon Powell is more of a jitterbug. He's going to be your inside guy that runs a lot of your choice routes and a lot of your zoom motion stuff if they want to hand it off in a jet sweep. Kind of like Tyreek Hill. If you want to get some of that Tyreek Hill slot production, you get it out of Brandon Powell. You don't get it out of Jalen Naylor. But if you want to get some of that Van Jefferson for the Rams, how Van Jefferson did that with Cooper Kupp. Van Jefferson was a guy to take the top off, and so Jalen Naylor can be that guy. When you have a Justin Jefferson is like a Cooper Kupp, can run any route out there, can do anything you want, Jalen Waddle type of guy. And so I think you need that. I think Brandon Powell and Jalen Naylor both are going to be in that wide receiver, like 3A, 3B, based off. Because when you go on the field, and I'm going to yell out a bunch of stuff that doesn't make sense to people, but they'll say tiger, they'll say elephant, they'll say zebra. All those have different groupings, and who's in the tiger set, or 12 personnel, 11 personnel. It'll be 11 personnel tiger, which now that changes it up. Those guys are going to have roles, I think, and from a running back position, this is a team that needs like a Ty Chandler guy, which is an Aaron Jones, a guy that doesn't have to get 40 carries in order to get going. And that's what I think Kevin O'Connell wants to do. So for wide receiver 3, I think it's a 3A, 3B right now. Some of the dark horses, I can see Tristan Jackson working up in that 4 or 5 spot, but it comes down to staying healthy. I think that's going to always be the key with
Well,
these guys.
we've heard Jalen Naylor talk about that a lot. Being available is
Yeah.
going to really help his case for that wide receiver spot. And even Kevin O'Connell saying it may look a little different than what the fans are used to because there will be guys that will probably rotate in and out of that quote-unquote 3 spot because they have a slew of talent. And maybe not just one. They're not expecting one guy to make that role filled. But training camp is only just gearing up, and there are several more days for the fans to come out and watch our Vikings at camp. Just to kind of give you a perspective, 6 more opportunities, Ron. It's kind of crazy that there are only 6 more opportunities. Practice is open Wednesday and Friday this week before we host 2 sold-out practices on Saturday and, of course, the Monday night practice at TCO Stadium. You going to be at that one?
Yeah, I will be.
Nice, nice. Okay, after that, August 7th and August 8th are actually your last chances to attend training camp before that first preseason game. Tickets are still available at Vikings.com/camp. Well, thank you so much, Ron, as always, for your insight. Love doing these training camp weekly shows for you guys. And they'll be coming, a few more will be coming out throughout the training camp period. For now, just stick with Vikings.com or the Vikings app for everything training camp.